sun's about halfway full.
Today we're going to collect some sap. The temperatures yesterday were quite warm and it was cool the night before, so the sap ran really well. We already gathered a little bit down in the lower woods. We have a little bit more to gather from the upper woods. We're going to put some sap up here in the sap tank, then we're going to get this lit and start boiling. We're going to also fill the preheater pan. This pan warms up the sap before it gets into the evaporator. Still running.
There we go.
In case you're wondering why there is a box fan here in front of our evaporator, we use it to provide air to the evaporator. It helps the fire burn hotter, which also then helps the boiling process go a little faster. This door gets really hot. I should be using gloves, but I'll be able to use this piece of wood to open it up. Between firings, we like to place the wood along the side of the evaporator. That way, if it's a little damp, it helps dry it out. Dry wood burns better. We use a mix of wood that we scrounge from off of our property. We have about 11 acres here and we get a lot of blowdowns during the windy times of the year. If you do any maple sugaring, or if you ever have, or if you would love to, we'd love to hear about it in the comment section below. Maple sugaring is a big tradition here in Vermont. There's often a lot of family stories that come along with it. If you have a story to share, post it in the comments below. We'd love to hear about it. We started sugaring when I was a kid. We didn't do it ourselves, but we had a good friend that had a sugar house. We would head over there and help them gather. They used horses. They tapped about 3,000 trees with buckets, and it was a lot of fun. By the time we were done gathering the sap, we would get back to the sugar house. They would have already had the evaporator fired and going, and oftentimes they would have already drawn off some syrup. So nothing like having some fresh hot maple syrup just out of the evaporator. One of those logs was a little long, but we'll go ahead and close this door as best we can, and we'll set the fan up and get it going again. Well, I'm getting smoked out over here. Boiling sap can be a long process. This will take all day. We started this morning, probably around like 9 o'clock. We probably won't be done boiling this until sometime this evening. If this is something you've been wanting to do and you've never done this before, I would say go ahead and give it a try. A lot of people just get started. Some people use like a turkey fryer, which I don't recommend that. You're going to burn through a lot of propane. It'll take a while. Some people just start over an open fire in their backyard, maybe a couple cinder blocks and a pan on top of that. But however you start, be prepared to expect it to take a long time. You have to boil the water out of the sap. Usually it takes 40 gallons of sap to make 1 gallon of syrup, depending on the sugar content. And that's a lot of hours of boiling sap. A lot of the big sugar makers, they use reverse osmosis. That's a process where they're able to extract a large percentage of the water from the sap before bringing the sap into the evaporator. That minimizes the boiling time and speeds up the process. I'm going to check the fire and load it with some more wood. So we boil our sap using a 1/2 pint pan by liter evaporator. That pan is set over a firebox. We fire the boiler with wood that we gather from up around in our woods throughout the year. We purchased this evaporator off of Craigslist. The gentleman that sold it to us had used it for a little while, and then his grandson also had used it. But somewhere along the way, the pan that he was using was burned up. I guess they let the sap boil down too far and they burned their pan. So before he sold it, he was able to acquire a new 1/2 pint pan by liter evaporator. So we were fortunate to be able to use an older firebox but with a brand new pan. It worked out really well for us. For those who are not familiar with liter evaporator has been making maple equipment since 1888. It's made here in the USA. This pan was made in Swanton, Vermont. Well, we're still out here boiling. I think it's probably been maybe close to 2 hours since we started the fire. It's starting to sprinkle a little bit. We put this piece of plywood on top over the pan. Helps keep some of the rain out of it. It also keeps some of the embers from falling in from the top of the smokestack. So this pan here is the preheater pan. That's where we put the sap, and then that gives it a chance to warm up before it goes into the evaporator. It's boiling a little bit, not as much as I would like, but part of that is every time we put wood in, it kind of kills the boil, and we have to wait a little bit for the boil to come back up. So the first boil we did last week, we made about a little over 1/2 gallon of syrup. We'll probably make about the same amount again today. So our process is we evaporate most of the water out of the sap outside on this evaporator, and then once it gets down to almost syrup, we usually have a couple gallons in here at that point, and we'll bring that into the house and finish it off on the cook stove. That helps it so we don't risk burning the syrup or our pan. There we go, it's filled right up. We'll let that slowly continue to trickle into the evaporator. We'll try and get this thing back up to a boil again. I think we need to throw some more wood in there. Well, it's almost 1 o'clock now. Just went in and had a quick bite to eat. Now I'm going to head back out here and check the sap, see how it's going. Hopefully we didn't let it boil down too far when we were in there. Well, it did boil down pretty low. I'm going to set this down and we'll take a quick look at it. So I think I was inside for a little too long. The sap did get very low. We're filling it back up again. It also looks like the evaporator isn't as level as it was. I think it has shifted a little bit on the ground. It's a little deeper back here than it is up here. In one of our other videos we talk about the importance of leveling your evaporator so that the sap flows evenly throughout the pan, which helps prevent it from burning and helps it cook properly. I think after this boil we'll double check it. We did level it earlier today, but I think it's shifted a little bit again. You got to keep an eye on it. You can quickly lose all your syrup pretty quick and burn your pan if you're not careful. Time to stoke the fire again. Well, we'll let that get back up to a boil. We should be getting near the end of our outdoor evaporating, probably another hour, hour and a half. We have just what's left in the preheater pan and the little bit that's in the evaporator pan, and we'll let that boil for a while until it's almost syrup, and then we'll bring it into the house and finish it off on the stove. Well, now it's time to draw off our syrup and bring it in the house and finish it off.
Buddy.
And now we'll finish the syrup off in here on the stove. There's not too much in there. I think we'll be lucky if we end up with a quart. Seemed like we should have had a little more than that, but we'll see how this boils down. It looks like our syrup is done. We are drying it off now and straining it.
One quart. It's like 2 quarts.
Well, we're all done boiling. We've got some nice fresh Vermont maple syrup. We've jarred it up and it will, as it cools, it will seal up and can. We made a half a gallon plus this tasty little bit here that I'm going to try and see how it tastes. Nice and sweet. That's delicious. I would share it with you if I could. Well, at the end there, it went kind of fast. It went quickly into syrup, so I didn't get a chance to show you how we used a hydrometer to test it to make sure that it's at the right stage. If you want to learn more about maple sugaring and how we set up this evaporator, be sure to check out this video right here. It'll show you how we set this up and leveled it and got it ready for this year's maple sugaring season. Well, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, hit the like button and leave a comment below. We would also love it if you would subscribe. We're trying to grow our subscriber list, and everything you can do would help us out.